Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to our first digital edition of Tomorrow's World Live, powered by AI and seamless technology. I'm super excited to host you guys today. I feel a little bit like Steve Jobs unfolding and unwrapping a lot of fantastic products and a lot of fantastic technology to present to the world today. So, welcome. My name's Michael. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Incubeta. And behind me is a fantastic team of people who have worked really, really hard to make all of this reality in terms of today's presentation, but especially in terms of a lot of the great products we're going to show you guys today. So hope you're excited. I already said it. This is the first digital global edition of Tomorrow's World. Tomorrow's World has been with the Incubeta family for a long time. It has been our flagship UK event, and we're taking Tomorrow's World global this year. This is the first digital edition. We're taking Tomorrow's World to Australia. We're bringing it all the way back to where it all started in the UK later on in the year to really drive impact and to show the world what an amazing event it is and what value it can add for us, for our clients, and for the entire ecosystem. What's important as well, and we want to anchor what we do in terms of our technology, in terms of what we present in the business within our marketing outlook document. This is a super nice white paper. You can download it later following the QR in the document. You can also get it on our website, and I'm sure there's many other ways you can get to it. But there's a few key themes that are really relevant to mention here. And I think we can all recognize and understand them. AI is collapsing the consumer journey. Things are changing faster around us than we've ever seen online. Measuring what matters becomes more difficult. There's less signal, there's more static, and really understanding what drives business impact is getting more challenging by the minute. Intelligent creative is becoming the differentiator. Creative impact is more important than ever, but how do you really make it work for your business? Clicks still matter, but prompts will lead the way. Consumers are changing. They're organizing themselves differently online. They have very, very different ways of searching, buying, figuring things out. The consumer journey as we knew it is gone. Ties in with the rise of AI-driven shopping agents as well, right? I mean, how will people shop in the future? Super exciting, super interesting to see. And building systems that own the future is a core point to that as well. And we build systems for the future by deploying our Outperform marketing vision for clients. Outperform marketing is around achieving rapid results that you can trust, doing things faster and better with adaptive automation, and really pushing the boundaries of marketing, driving generative growth, ultimately turning marketing into a force for profitable growth and real tangible benefits for businesses. The world we live in is challenging, right? And this is an important thing to say. I mean, there's just a bunch of compounding challenges that I'm listing on this slide that are important to think about. The rise in media costs is really relevant, right? We're seeing double-digit increases in search media CPCs across the board. Some verticals are up 80%, some of them are flat, but it's a big, big challenge, right? Changing consumer behavior is massive. With AI overviews present in search, the changes are incredibly big in terms of how consumers organize themselves. Media operations are transforming. 80% of digital marketers use AI for bidding, targeting, or creative delivery. What does it really mean, right? And creative limitations are still a factor that many of our clients struggle with, and that's a challenge for the industry. This is where clients can really make the difference, and we really see our clients lean in the right way. 50% of media outcomes are driven by creative factors, right? That's a lot. In order to bring that together for clients, we have our Outperform solutions that drive this, right? We outcreate, we deliver performance creative at scale. We outsmart, we drive media management built for the age of AI. And we outmeasure, where we make sure we have accurate and actionable measurement, really underpinning all of that. That brings everything together in Outperform marketing. Outperform marketing is powered by our seamless technology. And mostly that's what we're here to discuss today, guys. Our seamless technology ecosystem, again, driven by our Outperform solutions, contains a bunch of different elements that are relevant to outline super, super quickly. The Creative Performance Index, helping clients correlate what truly works within creative and correlating it to quantified media performance data to optimize on what really matters. Our Seamless Search tool, which has been around for a long time, a product that really takes holistic search performance and helps clients find incrementality across the entire board there. Outperform BI, a super exciting agentic digital marketing insight solution that really drives agentic insights for clients, not on fluffy platform metrics, but on what truly matters, really bringing it closer to their business. Seamless Creative. Seamless Creative is our solution to really drive performance creative at scale in an easy way, understandable, always relevant, and accessible for consumers. Seamless Strategy, our AI media planning tool. We're bringing that into YouTube in a big way. You're gonna see later what it looks like. But this is really around harnessing all the data available, harnessing all the strong media planning and insights that we have, and really making sure we're bringing the right media strategy to our clients. Seamless Signal, leveraging audience-based, real-world-based, e-commerce-based signals to drive better media outcomes through targeting, through creative differentiation, through audience segmentation. Lots of different options there. Seamless Audience, I'm almost done, guys. Seamless Audience drives a lot of our audience segmentation at scale, leveraging AI, leveraging synthetic models, really driving audience performance in ways that truly drive business outcomes for our clients. And seamless measurement underpins that whole thing for us. What you can measure, you can manage, and really driving out our overall measurement strategy and measurement product to really underpin a lot of this is what moves the needle for our clients and what really gives them the confidence to invest the right way. Ultimately, this leads to the new marketing requirements and how our solutions stack, right? In order to grow in this industry, businesses must pivot to a new model made for the age of AI. That means a lower reliance on highly competitive, high-cost channels by identifying and scaling in untapped areas. That's where our seamless measurement product comes in. It's where seamless strategy helps find new opportunities, new ways to reach consumers, new ways to drive impact. A new marketing requirement of meeting demands of AI-empowered customers who have increased expectations of speed and relevance. Customers expect us to be with the right offer, with the right product, with the right proposition, no matter where they are, right? It's hard because consumers are really skittish online and they're all over the place. Our CPI and our seamless creative products really help bringing creative to the forefront there and really mapping the right proposition, the right product, the right input to really hit the nail on the head when communicating to consumers. And then there's the challenge of really feeding all the media AI platforms with the right information needed to ensure alignment with business priorities. This is really the cheat code to nailing AI in marketing. Leveraging seamless search, leveraging seamless audience, leveraging seamless shopping, which is a part of seamless search, really means bringing forward much more advanced ways of really driving the AI within the media platforms with the right data, with the right angle, with the right testing, and with the right approach. Clients who adopt this really see an outsized return over clients who just run straight into the AI features of the platforms and hope for the best. We have a bunch of exciting demos for you guys to go through across our Outperform solutions. And Max is going to do that for us later. We're going to start with the Creative Performance Index, our creative intelligence tool. The Creative Performance Index really speaks to how creative drives impact correlated to media and how clients need to optimize creative to drive outside performance. We'll show you guys our Outperform BI platform. As I flagged, it's our agentic marketing insights platform. It really drives insights correlated to what truly is important for our clients to focus on what matters, to remove a lot of the noise in marketing reporting and dashboards that we all know and see, to really focus on moving the needle. We'll speak about our YouTube AI Optimizer. Our YouTube AI Optimizer is part of our Seamless Strategy product. And this platform really helps clients with YouTube media planning, optimization, and really building the right media plans and the right way of speaking to consumers on YouTube to drive the right level of return in a better way. And we'll finish off with Seamless Search. Seamless Search is our flagship product. With all of the changes happening in search, we are evolving the platform in a really big way to really drive holistic search investment in a more advanced way for our clients, adopting AMX, adopting shopping, really bringing a lot of intelligence to the forefront there. That's my introduction. That's how I wanted to contextualize what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to hand over to Max, who is our Global Director of Data and AI. It's also Max's birthday today, so let's give him a little virtual cheers. But the floor is yours, Max.
Okay, jumping into our Creative Performance Index product. So as Mike mentioned, this is our product really around helping our clients understand what components of creative are actually working. So how it works is we link directly to your ad platform, so whether that be TikTok, Meta, Google, and what we can essentially do is pull out all of the creatives that you have within those ad platforms and combine them with all of the performance data that we see within those. From that, what we're able to do is use AI to label up all these different components that are occurring within a creative and understand which are actually correlated to better performance in that ad account. So you can see some examples here where we're looking at the concept, product orientated, that seems to be doing better for this client. 3 scenes or more is doing better. Having music is a positive effect for the media performance, but having no special offer or studio shots are actually not doing as well as some other components. So this is the kind of analysis. It really helps our clients understand what's actually working. There's also functionality within this tool to give pre-flight predictive recommendations, which I'm going to show you in a second. Similarly, there's the ability to get competitive intelligence, understand what your competitors are doing. And with this tool, what we're able to do is use this insight to fuel our creative roadmap and our creative testing, as well as some intelligent ways to leverage this data to really help prove out and measure the incremental value of creative on bottom line performance, which historically is a struggle. So I'm going to quickly jump in now to the demo. And first thing we're going to do within the demo, just quickly log in. I'm borrowing my colleague Vanessa's login here, not using mine. And what I'm going to show you first is our pre-flight analysis. So for those of you familiar with Google's ABCD framework, you might be familiar with how this works. We use insights and creative golden rules to understand what's doing better. The problem with those kind of tools is that they don't really give a lot of context about the brand, where they're at the stage in the brand journey, or what the campaign goal is. So that's what we're hoping to tackle with this tool. So quickly show you how it works. We're going to choose an asset and upload an asset. We can do up to 50 at once. We're going to just do 1 for now. I'm going to do this on behalf of our client, tails.com. And this is where we're going to feed in all the important metadata. So we know that the brand status of it is a niche player. Our objective for our campaign is consideration and interest. We want to target enthusiasts, so pet owners, and we know what the funnel stage for this campaign is. So now I'm going to run our creative audit. I'm going to run that analysis, and there we go. So this is our overall score is 9.8. I wish all of our creatives were that good. Sadly, it's not always the case. And we break that score down into 5 components: visual, sound, action, emotion, and relevance. You can see we've scored perfectly on everything except visual. So let's look into why that's actually happened. So I can click through. I'm only looking at one creative here, but you would actually see all 50 if you did 50 in one go. But let's get the details on this one. And you can see we've performed perfectly on everything except for the fact that the logo is really small and in the top right corner hidden away. So this will immediately give us insight that to improve the quality of this creative, we can just change that. We're able to download these insights via PDF or CSV and share them with our team. So that's the pre-flight. What I'm now going to show you is the cooler part, arguably, which is the actual CPI live when it's connected to your ad accounts. So first you can see all your creatives, you can play them, you can see some top level data, we can see where there's maybe ad fatigue and scope to save spend, and even see some of the best combinations of components of a creative at a top view. Over here you can see your CPI score across your account and all your different campaigns. So again, here we can identify campaigns where potentially there's scope to improve the creative and test out more variants. You can also see some of the other headline things here. You can switch it from ROAS to CTR as your key performance metric, and we'll come back to the competitor dashboard in a minute. But the next thing I want to show you, which is kind of the lifeblood of the system, which is the features tab. So this is where, again, you can see of all the components we've tagged up, all the different features, whether the character age is a child or an adult or a grandparent or whatever it may be. These are all the different things that we pick out. And on the Outperform Fit Picks tab that we're on right now is where we're seeing the best possible version of all those different features. If you go into the hook scene, the core scene, the end card, you can see specifically for those different scenes. And in the All tab, you can see all the data that's coming through, all the different components and how they've performed. But we're focusing here on the top performing things, the Outperform Picks. And here you can see all the different metrics you have. You can add different columns, you can sort, you can filter, you can do everything that you might ever want to do, and really get your hands on all this data, which is driving your performance. Next tab, we're going to go look at the creatives, and even just seeing all of your creatives mapped out like this across your account as an ad library with all the spend and all the performance metrics surrounding it, even before we get in the AI components, is something really useful for a lot of brands. I know this isn't that easy to see across the ad platforms themselves. So even just being able to view this is great. But what we can also do is click into any one of these ads and find out a little bit of information about it. You know, what are those components within the creative? How are they performing? How could they be better? So again, we can see the top level information at the top. We can even play the individual video should we wish. And then again, over here on the right, you can see all the different tags that are actually within that particular creative. You can see a timeline, so if you want to analyze all the different scenes, combine that with the view-through elements, you can really do that in-depth analysis. And of course, you can change all your time ranges. Drill down, you can see where it's appearing in your ad accounts. And then in this Trends tab, you can see how things are trending over time and spot any potential issues with fatigue. Here we are at the competitor tab, as I mentioned before. So this is a really useful tool where you can pick up to 5 competitors to track what they're doing within their creative. So anytime a new creative gets added to their ad accounts, we'll be able to identify that and pull that through. And what we're doing is the same level of analysis on our competitor creatives as we're doing on our own creatives as well. So we're looking at all those different tags that they're using. Unfortunately, we can't see the performance data for our competitors. Would be nice if we could. But what we can do is compare that to the tabs that we're using and see if we're missing a trick for anything that they're doing. And of course, we can filter it all by country, by competitor, et cetera, et cetera. Couple of final things to show you on the CPI. We have our report section. We're constantly growing these out. But if you ever want any kind of exec level reporting to be able to provide to anyone within your teams, you can easily generate these, switch from ROAS to CTR as your key KPI, and export these. But a very useful tool when sharing insights to people who don't necessarily want to go into all the details. And that is it. So it's obviously a really amazing tool, and these insights in themselves are super useful, but we don't want this to just be seen as a product that you just sit on the side and leverage those insights. You really need to invest into a wider program to get the true value out of this. So firstly, what we're able to help clients do is make sure that we are tagging up the right things to be looked at via AI. So, if you have a specific creative strategy or account structure or product taxonomy, we want to reflect that in the way that we're setting things up, because me telling you that a woman in the creative works better on women's wear campaigns versus your men's wear campaigns, you don't really need the AI for that. So we really want to set it up so you can get all the useful insights, what camera angle is working better, what colors are working better, what call to action. All of these things we can help across multiple platforms. Secondly, we're really here to help develop those creative testing roadmaps in partnership with the CPI, because one, we want our clients to have the best possible CPI score, really tailoring their creative to what's working. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that you haven't tested yet that we can feed into building the depth of that CPI score by balancing that out. So really balancing that testing framework with the growing the CPI over time is really a useful thing that the tool can help you with. And finally, these CPI insights can be really useful in different activation channels. So firstly, these CPI insights can be immediately pipelined into any kind of Gen AI creative workflows that you have, or even any non-Gen AI, normal, old school creative workflows. We can help you build out the creative that's really working. And then finally, that CPI score that we can track over time as a time series, we can really correlate that to your underlying business performance to really help clients understand the true incremental impact of creative. So what that means is essentially we can plug that into an MMM model the exact same way we might plug in media channels. We can run causal impact analyses and really help our brands get to the point where they know if they have 100 grand to spend, how much of that should they be investing in media and what types of media, versus how much of that should they be investing in creative and what types of creative. We can help advise them how best to use that spend to generate maximum possible returns with this tool, which is, again, one of the age-old challenges that I've been coming up against my whole career. So that's CPI. Next thing I want to jump into is Outperform BI, as Mike mentioned. And Outperform BI is our tool, which is designed to be a highly tailored marketing agent to not only look at the what of performance marketing, but explain why the performance has changed. And what we really want to help our clients do is turn their teams into marketing oracles, which was actual feedback we got from one of our test clients, by combining and analyzing all the different data sources and all the different drivers of their demand and their business performance into a single point and a single agent that can be accessible at their ease. So quickly jumping into the demo for this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log into my client. And first, let's ask it a very simple question. What were the top performing Google search and shopping campaigns for November? And immediately you can see it's come back with the top 5 performing campaigns by ROAS. Interestingly, it's giving us the comparison between standard shopping campaigns and PMAX campaigns, which is super useful. Didn't even have to ask it for that. And it's also telling me about the difference between platform track revenue and GA4 track revenue. So really giving me some interesting insights. So let's take that another step forward. Let's ask about a year-on-year comparison of those campaigns. And again, takes a second to think about it, but immediately comes back with a response of how the performance has changed. If I want it in a table, all I need to do is ask. But again, giving me the top level comparison and insights of those campaigns. Again, looking at GA4 versus platform track revenue, suggesting where potentially there's issues with the attribution or things to look at there, and give us, again, a conclusion of how we performed year on year and give us some advice for how to move forward. Next thing is sticking on, more basic performance things. Let's get day-by-day conversion rate. Again, the model is able to quickly go away, put that data together, and come back and even suggest, if there are any big disparities day by day in terms of the conversion rate, how best we can adjust our budgets, how best we can adjust our bidding strategies to ensure that we're maximizing the potential conversions that we're getting each day to day. But that's the easy stuff. Let's move on to more of the explaining the why. Let's start looking at what were the incremental drivers of revenue in May last year. And this is where we move beyond just the platform data, the GA4 data, and we start factoring in that MMM model that we have running for this client. So here we're able to actually give that revenue breakdown by signal. So how much did paid media contribute? How much was just baseline? How much was Google Trends market demand? What was the seasonalities effect? And again, here we're comparing MMM and GA4, seeing gaps there, and again, giving some of the key insights that we saw from that period. Giving us some key recommendations on how we can improve things. Some things aren't included in the MMM. Is there enough data to fill them in? And then finally giving us this really lovely waterfall chart, giving us the basic top level view of how the MMM looked for that particular period. So let's push on that. Let's now try and go deeper into the media side of things and look at the channels within the MMM model. And again, what it's going to do is think for a second and then come back with a deep analysis of each individual channel within the media investment as well. So again, top line figures that we're getting there, and then looking at the overall contribution within the MMM. So we can see that Search Ads 360 is the biggest volume, but not the most efficient in this particular case. So it gives us this whole breakdown and then gives us that key insights below. So again, search is absolutely dominant in terms of volume, great efficiencies in display, but not as much volume as we like. Meta lower funnels, not doing as well as upper funnel. So again, it's going to give us these recommendations on how better we can adjust our media strategy to maximize performance, and gives us this lovely little radar plot as well with some tips to how to improve things channel by channel, and the breakdown of the spend again. So next, we are going to look at how we can actually use this for media planning. So based on last Christmas performance, how can I optimize my investments to do better next Christmas? So immediately it recognizes what I mean by the Christmas period. It's pulled data for November and December. If you want to change that and look at just the Christmas week, you can do that as well. All you need to do is ask. And again, gives us this breakdown of all the performance for that period. And again, giving us that performance analysis where we're seeing similar trends to what we saw before. A lot from search, display doing really well from an efficiency point of view. Meta needs some tweaking in terms of the investment. And what it's going to give us here is some recommendations on how we can improve things coming into the next Christmas period. It's only given me one. I'm going to ask for a few more here. And again, it's going to take a second and then come back with some additional recommendations. The first one being to significantly increase my display budget because it's operating so efficiently, but not as high volume as we would like. Let's take a look at some of these other recommendations. Again, it's got the top level stats here at the top. The other recommendations are, optimize SA360. Some elements of search are doing better than others. Again, I mentioned refined meta strategy, upper funnel is doing better than lower funnel. Reevaluate some low performing channels. TikTok and affiliate didn't do great over the period. Then it's telling us also to try A/B testing creative and messaging, implementing dynamic bidding strategies for some campaigns that don't have it, and to finally monitor daily performance and adjust budget. So again, some really valuable insights for us to take moving forward. And now I'm just going to ask something different, ask about paid search. Let's say paid search is our biggest volume driver. CFO wants to know how actually valuable it is for driving performance for my business. So I can ask that question easily to the agent, and it'll put together this in-depth analysis for me. So again, looking at the period that we had last time, remember it's the context, and again, gives us that breakdown on performance between search and all the other channels, and gives us the headline recommendations of what SA360 or general search is doing for the business. So we can see that it's driving a huge amount of the volume, decent ROAS from an MMM point of view, but not quite as good as display or some of the other channels. And essentially the headline recommendation being, let's optimize but not reduce paid search spend. Some elements of search are doing really well from the MMM model. Let's try and adjust how we do that to maximize our ongoing incremental gains from our search investment. And again, great summary, great conclusion here for you to share with any of your colleagues. And we'll try something else new here. We'll now ask it, I've got a new campaign coming up with a promotion that I want to launch in March this year. Any tips for me on how best to maximize our performance there? And first thing we'll do is go away and look at March from last year, look to see if there's any learnings that it can take from that. Again, gives us that full breakdown, gives us that full analysis of March 2025. We saw some zero spend for Pinterest, but for some reason, some revenue, great. A lot of other insights from all the other different channels. And again, giving us some tips on how to best maximize for March this year in this promotion. So maximize reach and efficiency, use clear messaging, dedicated landing pages, continuous monitoring. So again, some simple tips here for you to really nail that campaign. And of course, you can ask follow-up questions. There's some recommended ones at the bottom to help you get even more information on how to best nail this promotional period. And finally, just try something a bit different. Let's ask about Pinterest for Mother's Day. Is that a good idea? Firstly, it goes back and looks at the last year's data. We have no data, okay? So we don't know for this particular account how Pinterest is going to perform. So this is where we go beyond the realms of what our existing client data is. And we start to look at some of the curated information that we have feeding into this agent beyond just that client's particular data. So we'll go away with all the context of the brand and its performance and look around the web for content around how they should best nail Pinterest coming into Mother's Day for this particular brand and what they sell. So again, another new way of leveraging this that goes beyond just your existing data. But that was just the basic demo version that I've just shown you. Where we really want this tool to live is completely tailored to your needs. So in the onboarding and how we set this thing up, we do a really in-depth discovery on what are the important data sources, context, and info that would go into an agent for you. So for example, we've been speaking to a cinema company this week, and what's really important for them is to integrate, what movies are playing. They also really need to integrate their e-commerce platform. They need to distinguish between a sale of a ticket for a family movie versus a action movie. This is all super important information for them, and including things like the weather. People go to the movies when the weather's bad, particularly on the weekends and in holiday periods. So having that information in there is really important as well. For retail clients, it's often more around stock or what availability the products have, what product margin do the products have, various other different data sources that might be really important, your promotional schedule, experimentation schedules, price comparison feed. We can upload all of that and give that context to the model. We'll tailor the agent to meet those requirements, and then your team will be able to immediately query all of these disparate data sources in one single place to really give you the power to truly understand why your performance has changed. So that is the Outperform BI tool. A slight offshoot of that, kind of still on this theme of multi-agent frameworks, is, as Mike mentioned, a specific tool we've built around how you can maximize your efforts on YouTube. So there's a more specific use case and also has some activation elements in it as well, which is really, really cool. And essentially, this tool's here to really help clients get more value out of YouTube. YouTube is an amazing tool, one of the best out there for brand building. But understanding how to maximize reach, maximize effectiveness, ensure that you're really getting your most bang for your buck out of YouTube isn't the most straightforward thing. And this is what the tool's here to help with. So firstly, with the tool, you connect up your accounts. You can then upload a brief and refine the brief, within the interface. So again, you can upload a brief that's not even specifically about YouTube, but the AI agent will help peel out all of the information that it needs, asks you more questions to get to a fundamental brief that we can use to build the campaigns. We'll immediately analyze all of your campaign history across the YouTube format, whether it be DV360 or Google Ads that you use to buy it. And we have an immediate tie-in via the API to all the YouTube reach data. So we combine all that information and we feed that into our seamless strategy learning engine, which Mike mentioned earlier, to help us plan and create these different scenarios to help maximize your YouTube investment. So that all gets turned into structured data files that we can immediately upload and instantly create everything we need from a YouTube perspective. So quick overview of how that looks. I think I'm already behind on time, so I might necessarily show this video in full. But what this tool is really here to help you do is connect up all your accounts, as you can see below. You can then upload a brief. It helps you, query that brief and get more information out of it. What it then does is analyze all that campaign history, as I mentioned, and then it goes away and generates multiple campaign scenarios. You could target X, Y, Z audiences, or what combination of those. Again, pieced together by everything we know about the campaign history, everything we can get from the YouTube Reach Curve API, and everything we know about your brand. That then gets put through numerous models to help find the optimum campaign strategy. What budget split should we do across all these different audiences, all these different formats, and then those structured data files get created, and we can immediately activate them into the system. So yeah, it pushes directly to Google Ads, pushes directly to DV360, and builds all those campaigns out for you in an automated fashion. Obviously, the benefit of that, the manual way, it's not that easy to query programmatically all that YouTube reach data. There's a lot of it. It takes a lot of work to get all that. We can do that easily with the tool. Again, seamless strategy and the learning engine within that helps us do all this deep multivariate analysis and advanced scenario modeling, which again, you're not going to be able to do manually on your own. But fundamentally, what we're really trying to achieve is, enhance media efficiency and ROI, both in the short term and the long tail, trying to build more brand salience. And again, increase speed and agility and elimination of human error, which again, with YouTube, unfortunately does happen every now and then. So again, putting all this in an automated tool makes so much sense for us as a business. And finally, as Mike mentioned, we want to end on Seamless Search, which is our flagship product. So I'm hoping that some of you already know how this tool works, but just a quick refresher. But Seamless Search is our tool to really help maximize performance across paid and organic search in combination, rather than seeing them as silos. So essentially what Seamless is a machine learning bid strategy that actually factors in the organic contribution to revenue at an individual keyword level. And essentially what the tool is doing on a day-to-day basis is, if you look at this graph on the right, taking spend from keywords that maybe don't need it, where we're actually just cannibalizing organic in this red shaded area, and actually shifting that spend to more incremental areas where we're seeing some leakage to competitors because organic can't cover it on its own, and actually supporting organic with more ad spend there. So what we're really doing is switching the thinking and helping clients generate significantly more profit by taking away non-incremental spend and increasing incremental spend. Really here to help maximize that total search profit. So that's what Seamless Search does at its very core. I'm hoping a lot of people on the call already know that, so that was just repeat information. But what we've been working on, in partnership with Google, is really trying to improve what the tool's capabilities are. So a lot of new things have been added for this year. You can see here in this graphic the new A/B testing module. So you can set these up, A/B tests up entirely on your own now. You don't even need to contact our team. We've imported PMAX data into the system, which is super exciting. There's a new causal impact application attached to the tool to help you run those kind of analyses at scale. We have a new alerting system. There's AI summaries in the reporting, which now exists within the UI if you wish it to. Billing, GCP marketplace integration, self-onboarding, all really cool new things. Like you can now get all the way through to generating our keyword recommendations without even speaking to anyone on our team. So a lot of cool stuff happening there. And then the final one, SEO forecasting, which I think is super cool. So I'm going to spend a bit of time on that one. But essentially what we're using is all that paid and organic data we have in combination to help give our clients AI-driven recommendations on how to improve their organic position. Now, that part, it's kind of boring. There's a million providers that are already out there that give you that information. But what we're able to do is translate the position gains that we forecast from implementing these SEO recommendations and funnel that all into our Seamless Search data set. So all the data we have around the paid and organic relationship across our data. So what we're able to do is take that organic position improvement and understand what the likelihood benefit to organic CTR would be from that, and then how the seamless bidding model would actually recommend reducing paid spend on those particular keywords to capitalize on that better organic position. So what we're essentially able to do is drive the same amount of revenue but for a lot less cost, because we're just relying more on organic. And here on this total search margin line on the bottom, the projected impact we're looking at there is 12.5K for this particular set of keywords, I think over a 7-day period. So really exciting stuff there. But the final thing I wanted to announce is that our seamless search tool is growing. As Mike mentioned, we're adapting to and expanding the tool to cover new formats as search changes with all the introductions into AI and everything else like that. So firstly, really excited to announce that seamless search is now going to have a Gen AI feed component format. And this is essentially how clients can help take back control of their PMax campaigns to make sure they are showing on all the kinds of queries that they want to be showing for. So a great example for this is we work with one of the biggest football clubs in the UK. They're not the biggest, they're not Tottenham Hotspur, but they're all right. But what we're able to do for them was that they worked with an American apparel company, and as such, everything in their feed was called sweatpants. But no one who actually was searching for those products was using that term. They're talking about trackies and joggers, and they were nowhere to be seen within the auction on those keywords and being beaten by competitors. So we're able to take that search query data, funnel that back into their feed, and help them better control that. And dominate the search space on those kind of queries. Similarly, speaking with a supermarket chain this week, and they were talking about how they don't show up anywhere on pizza flour. They have pasta flour, 00 flour as it's called, but nowhere will they be found on the auction for pizza flour, even though everyone in the reviews is talking about how great this product is for pizza. So what we're able to do, again, is analyze that unstructured data, filter that back into the product feed, and help them better control which queries they're showing up and dominating the space on those terms. So really excited to have that as part of our seamless search ecosystem. Similarly, in that space, our enhanced PMax tool. So a PMax tool is really all about how clients can better control which products show up for which terms. Because Google can really only show within the PMax environment what it sees in the pixel. It can see what products are doing well in PMax campaigns or within Google Ads campaigns. It can't see what's happening on the rest of the site. It doesn't have all the other information that you might want to use to prioritize products like price competition. Sometimes it can have that, but often it doesn't. Stock, margin, you might want to manually push new products. There might be certain brands that you want to upweight through brand partnerships. A great example of this is working with a garden center. They have loads of products that can only be planted in certain seasons. Google doesn't have that information. We can preload that information into the feed to make sure that we're not wasting a load of money on seeds that can't be sown till next year now. So that's again another really great tool to help us deliver more value from PMax formats. And then finally, in terms of how AI is really changing the ecosystem, really excited about bringing AI Max coverage within the seamless search ecosystem. So for me, AI Max is super exciting. It's finally making search fun again. I was getting pretty bored. It got a bit too formulaic personally for me. AI Max gives us such amazing data about what people are searching for, how that relates to our website, that really allows us to drive opportunities to improve our coverage, both from a paid and organic perspective. So AI Max, for those of you who don't know, is like a fancy new kind of DSA for anyone who remembers those. And essentially what we're able to do is, do general housekeeping on all this data. We can make sure we're removing terms that aren't performing well, remove irrelevant things, do our machine learning clustering, do n-gram analyses, all the basic stuff that you would normally do. But we can go even further with that. There's so much exciting opportunity. We can look at, firstly, queries where we are seeing really high volume in terms of search volume, but we're not getting many clicks. So what that indicates to me is that our pages that they're generating all the ads from and sending people to aren't really relevant enough. So this gives us a great opportunity to feed into generative AI pipelines to build out new content to help us better entertain that user and engage that user. Similarly, we might have loads of queries where we're getting loads of clicks, but really poor conversions. We're able to understand there that, yes, we might have really engaging content, but it's not that conversion driven. So again, we can help our clients via AI understand what the opportunity is there to improve how well this can convert. Because again, blog pages are doing really well for all of our clients on AI Max. And then finally, obviously, there's loads of things that we're not ranking for at all. So we can use what Mike was talking about earlier in terms of our synthetic audiences and our product data and also looking at search trends across the ecosystem, whether it be Google or TikTok or anywhere else, to understand what users might actually be searching for that we're not currently ranking for. So what that gives us is, again, the ability to create all of this content that's going to better engage our clients across paid, organic, and even beyond the Google ecosystem that AI Max sits in. All of this content will help us across all the different LLMs that are out there. And that is everything I wanted to run through. I think now we're going to do a bit of a Q&A.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Shall we check mics just to make sure we're working?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're great.
Mike's here.
Yes, perfect. This is how you know it's live, everyone. I am Lisa Morton. I am the Group Marketing Director at Incubeta, and I get the privilege of being able to grill these two on all the questions I'm sure you are dying to hear the answers to. So thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me put you in the hot seat.
Let's
Pleasure.
go.
Yeah, I don't actually need a clicker. So, tomorrow's world is all about the future. It's looking towards what advertisers should be expecting, what's happening in the industry. And I guess my first question to you is, we work with a lot of global brands. We talk to a lot of advertisers out there. What are the top priorities for 2026 and really the hurdles that they are trying to overcome?
I mean, our white paper does a great job of describing this, but overall, I would say it's really important for brands and our clients to get their basics right. Make sure you can measure what you're doing, right? I mean, there's so much change in the ecosystem, and there's so many new things to try and do. That just keeping track of what you're doing, how it works, where it impacts is incredibly important. That's number one. I think what's incredibly important is to almost rethink how marketing functions within an overall business ecosystem, right? It's becoming a lot more quantified, become a lot more integrated, and the domains within marketing of brand, performance, brand creative, performance creative, these walls are coming down really fast, right? And they're coming down because consumers are changing their behavior really quickly. And that's, I think, a really exciting opportunity. Max just said he's bored with search. I mean, if you're bored with marketing, this is like the most exciting time to be alive because the rules are getting rewritten. And clients need to be curious, they need to be structured, and they need to be really methodical in order to get that right.
Yeah.
I was bored by search. I'm loving it again now. I think the main thing that comes across my desk all the time is, people being asked to do something with AI. They don't know what, they're just being tasked to do something with AI. It's something we hear all the time. And it is great to look at, how can we do, unlock little efficiency gains? How can we stop wasting time? But really where this gets super exciting is, how can we bring all that data together to unlock insights and unlock value that we were never able to get before? So, let's make sure we're, really not just looking at how can we automate, how can we speed things up, but let's look at how can we actually drive drastic change by leveraging our data more intelligently with AI.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it comes across very well that is what Incubeta is trying to do at the moment. When we look at like CPI, the Creative Performance Index, what is the impact you've been seeing from that so far with the clients that have been using it?
That's a good question. I mean, creative has lived on its own in such a subjective way of interpreting what works and what doesn't work, right? And look, we're a bunch of nerds. We like analyzing things. We like quantifying things, right? And the CPI really allows us to do that. We can, as Max showed, really distill to what works within a creative, right? But it's still, you're only observing, right? I think what brings the CPI impact really to life for our clients is what do you do with it next? How do you make sure you build a proper creative testing roadmap? How do you make sure we associate it with the right personas you're targeting? How are you measuring that impact? How are you testing that at a wider scale? It becomes big and small at the same time because you can be really anchored in what you're improving, but really following that through is massive. And look, for clients that get this working, we're not talking about 2-3% fractional improvements, right? These are big game-changing elements that really bring creativity and strategic thinking around marketing back to the heart of what we all do as an industry versus just tinkering with numbers and toggles and switches, which is great.
Yeah, and just to add on that, I think for me, also super exciting what we're able to do in just proving the value of creative through these advanced measurement methods powered by the CPI. So often creative is overlooked. It's always, it's how do we balance our media, what bidding strategy we're using, et cetera, et cetera. All the focus is always on the media. But just to add on to what Mike's saying, being able to actually prove that this jump in your creative investment has delivered X amount of revenue is just super exciting data to give back to our clients and help them justify how they invest in creative to really help them grow.
Yeah, and as a marketer, all of us are marketers, but creative is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your arsenal. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is platforms like Google have AI built in. You've got AI Max, you've got PMax. Where does seamless technology fit into that? Why do you need something on top of what already exists in the platform?
You take that one, Mike.
Yeah, sure. It's kind of in the name with seamless. What it's designed here to do is help you link up these disparate data sources which traditionally sit separate to unlock more value. So within the traditional way, when we're talking about seamless search, that's combining paid and organic data, which Google typically doesn't link up, using some advanced machine learning modeling to be able to facilitate that. For PMax, it's about how can we take all these disparate unstructured data sources like reviews or search query data, or it could be absolutely anything, to push into our feed to hack our way to the top of those shopping rankings. And for AI Max, like I said, I'm super excited about it. There's so much opportunity for you to gain an advantage on your competitor set by using that data more intelligently. Like, it's such an amazing stream of data that we're getting where typically, we're not necessarily seeing all the search query data from OpenAI and other LLMs. That is going to be the vehicle for ads showing up within AI overviews and AI mode within Google. So we're going to get an amazing live feed of what data is actually feeding these LLMs. And that helps us from a paid perspective, but it also is going to benefit everything we want to do within that GEO space, really helping build out that content, with our digital PR teams, with AI supported plans to generate that content, is really going to help clients dominate that space and really regain a lot of control that maybe has potentially been lost since this whole LLM driven search thing has come about.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot today, and I think just in general, everybody's been talking about the change in consumer behavior, the way search is changing, the impact that's having on all of our clients and brands out there. We've even seen it across our own platforms. I think last year is when I first started seeing the AI-driven traffic to the website, which is amazing. But how does seamless search fit into that? And how do we prepare for agentic commerce?
Yeah, I think it's a lot in kind of what I previously just said. It's really about how can we help, firstly, help clients really drive feed excellence. That's going to be a huge part of what happens moving forward. We saw the announcement from Google last week, and starting to see some insight in what those feed structures look like. OpenAI announced this last year, did nothing, but gave us an example of all the different new feed elements that we can bring into the feed, which again is super exciting. Be interesting to see how they police that versus Google, because I feel like Google has a lot of experience making sure people don't mess around too much. I think OpenAI, there's probably a lot of opportunity to hack. We'll see how that goes. And now, driven by Google's announcement last week, they finally actually launched shopping. So it's an exciting time, and Seamless is really here to help, improve the feed, improve how we're analyzing all of that search query data. This is what Seamless Search is all about, both across the paid and the organic spectrum.
Yeah. And so we've talked a lot about our seamless technology and how that fits into the strategy, but we also have our Outperform solutions, which are much bigger programs and journeys that take you from point A to point Z, really, not even point B, to really drive impact for your business. Can you give a concrete example of where we've seen that happen for our clients?
It turns into a humble brag, right? But the seamless search example is a good one, and I'm just gonna round it off. I know the data point says a 49% increase in search profit, but let's just round it off to 50%, right? Imagine how much impact that has. Imagine that you bring in tooling that lives on top of what you're doing. You're extracting 50% more profits out of what you're doing, right? That's very, very impressive without lifting a finger. Just rebalancing your budget, redoing the things you're doing, right? It shows you how transformative some of this technology can be, and we have the feeling we're just scratching the surface there, right? I mean, what we see with clients who embark with us on the outperform journey through the rapid results that we prove out to them, it opens up this whole array of what's next, right? And that's just a really exciting piece. You're not done as a marketer when you've implemented seamless search, right? What's next on the journey? What's the next step that you look to unlock? And that's where outperform solutions come in really well. But it's also where the connectivity of the whole seamless value prop comes together, right? It's just really exciting. And I think the more we integrate the platforms and we drive their roadmap, the larger the returns will be for our clients.
Which is always very exciting.
Right?
Max, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think Mike nailed that on the head there.
Very, very eloquent. Now, lastly, for marketing leaders who really want to have intelligent future-ready systems, what is the number one strategic step that we want them to be taking in 2026?
You go first, Max.
From my perspective, but I'm going to come from a very data side of things. Maybe Mike can give a bit more of a broad view. But from my perspective, it's really about understanding these key drivers of demand and key drivers of business for you. What are these key signals that actually affect everything that happens with your customers? And that can be price competition, stock, margin, the weather is the most popular one to use, but often not that useful. All these different signals go into deciding whether a customer buys your product or your service or not. So by not being able to feed that into all of your systems you're using to measure, to activate, to how you're presenting creative, all of these things are driven by all those different signals. So the main advice I give to anyone is really trying to think hard about what are those key drivers of demand, what are those key signals, and how can we integrate that into our systems.
That's a good one. And I think it ties in with how I would articulate this. I mean, taking an outside-in perspective and to what Max is saying, our clients need to understand how their digital consumers are changing. And there's a big change happening, right? So it's understanding the changing consumer behavior in client-specific industries. It's that. And it's making sure that the way our clients operate and work, and to an extent we have it with our own marketing team, are ready for that future, right? So it's really understanding that state of change. If the consumers that you want to sell your products to are radically changing how they're buying these products online, you probably won't be as successful with the structure you've had for the last 20 years, right? So really figuring that out, scrutinizing that, understanding how that needs to be built, who are the right partners to team up with, who have your best interests at heart. I think those are really important steps to take. And to Max's point, the data will lead you there.
Well, thank you both. I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, Max, if somebody is interested in getting in touch about one of the products or solutions that you have gone through today, what is the best way to do that?
I thought I'd ask you that question.
That is the best way.
Obviously, please reach out to your local Incubeta representatives, but also all the information's available on the website.
Yes. Also, you can email us at hello@incubeta.com to ask about anything you've heard today. Thank you both so much for your time today. As Mike has talked about several times today, our 2026 marketing outlook is available. You can scan the QR code and download it. It is an incredibly interesting read and definitely super concise to make it easy to digest. But again, thank you. The email address is there. We hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks.